Take a good look at them. One of them might try to kill you, or will you kill first? This place is called the Hope's Peak, the finest academy in the world, or at least that's what they say. 56 characters, one academy, and a killing game. Save everyone and become the ultimate hope, or walk out alone, choosing the path of despair. Which will you choose? Whether you know Danganronpa or not, whether you've played Shinri Trial or just watching right now, doesn't matter. In this video, I will show you everything you need to jump in and not get lost in one of the best social deduction games on planet Earth. Let's go. So real quick for those out of the loop. Danganronpa is a Japanese game and anime where a black and white bear locks 15 students inside an academy and offers a deal: want out, kill someone. The catch is, everyone else will then investigate the murder, hold a class trial, and if the killer gets figured out, they face execution. But that's details. Closer to the end of the video, I will tell you how to get into Danganronpa itself. Now, what is Shinri Trial? It's a roleplay social deduction game set in the Danganronpa universe inside Garry's mod. In all the games on screen, you get assigned a role. In Shinri Trial, you pick it yourself mid-game. Anyone can be innocent, a detective, a killer, a trickster, a fixer, whatever your heart desires. And let me repeat, at any moment in time. You can start out peaceful, just walking around talking to people, then find a UV flashlight and play detective for the first chapter. Become a fixer in the second, and in the third, plan a genius murder and become the main antagonist. That ability to switch roles at any moment completely changes the nature of this genre. So, one important heads up before we start. Shinri Trial is not translated into English yet. The interface and all in-game text are in Russian. That's part of why this video exists. By the end of it, you'll know the game well enough to find your way around anyway. Let's start with how the game actually works. A session has 16 students, each trying to survive and escape the academy. The game runs in chapters. Every chapter goes through 4 phases. Phase 1. Daily life. You've just been locked in an academy with a crowd of people. You explore, socialize, gather and craft items, and keep yourself physically alive. It's quiet for now, but not for long. Your character has needs. Ignore them long enough and you get debuffs. At critical levels you die. Hunger restored by food. Energy restored by sleep or stimulants like coffee and energy drinks. Items are scattered across containers all over the academy and refresh every day at 5 AM in game time. Most of them can be processed at dedicated stations: the workbench, pots, mechanisms, traps and weapons, the med lab, first aid kits, bandages, poisons and sleeping pills, the kitchen stove for cooking, and by the way, some food gives buffs on top of the filling you up. The vending machine, food and drinks, guaranteed not poisoned. The monoshop, a store of interesting items of varying usefulness. In the dormitory you have your own room, a bed to sleep in, a sink for washing hands, weapons and mops, a wardrobe to hide in, a drawer with 3 kg capacity, and a personal 15 kg safe for storing items. Don't forget to lock your door, but keep in mind that lockpicks and crowbar will get through even that, so stay sharp. Also, at the start of every game, each player's drawer spawns a hammer, good for self-defense, repairs or murder. 5 rooms adjacent to the garden have a balcony button that opens the passage to the dormitory garden. It becomes accessible together with the second floor and the boiler room. You can also spend this phase doing repairs to escape the academy, but more on that in a bit. During daily life, Monokuma periodically runs events which by design are meant to help a potential killer pull off a case, that is a murder. They repeat roughly every 12 to 14 in-game hours. There are 4 types of Monokuma events. Masquerade, everyone puts on a disguise and hides their identity. Blackout, lights go out across the academy. Teleport, everyone gets randomly scattered across the map. For a detective, and honestly for everyone, it's important to log when each event starts and ends. Murders often happen exactly then, and you need to know when the event was and more importantly where you were during it. There are also random Monokuma broadcasts where he drops lines from his repertoire. They exist to keep up the killing game atmosphere. Phase 2. The crime. At any moment, a player can choose to become the Black End by killing one player or even two. On top of that, other players can commit murders independently of you, and only the first body discovered gets investigated. One player can kill no more than 2 players per chapter. A body counts as discovered once at least 3 different players have looked at it. The killer can be among them, but not first and only after the killer's instinct effect wears off, 20 real seconds later. If a body isn't found within 5 real minutes, Monokuma's automatic announcement goes off. There are plenty of ways to kill: melee weapons, blunt, hammer, baseball bat, adjustable range, crowbar and lead pipe, stab cut, kitchen knife, kitchen axe, fire axe, genocide jack scissors and katana, hybrid, shovel. Traps: bear trap, explosive trap, electroshock trap, poison gas trap. Special means like poisons, acid, widow's kiss, despair and sleeping pills. Kill by using the environment, like pushing from a height, locking someone in the freezer, death by hypothermia, or the sauna, death by heat stroke. Crushing with objects like elevator, the curtain or the gate. There is also starvation, sleep deprivation and prop killing, but all of that is borderline or outright against the rules, so be careful with those. Killing during the first in-game day, killing without a motive, and killing while playing a character who's one of the good guys in canon, all of that is technically allowed but heavily frowned upon. After committing the murder, the Black End has 2 main jobs: get rid of the evidence and fabricate an alibi. That's what keeps them undiscovered and wins them the class trial. And a note that applies to every phase: self-elimination doesn't remove you from the match by itself, but players who do it usually just quit right after, and leaving early means 0 XP, so please don't. When you start a game, you're committing to the next 1.5–2 hours at your PC, sometimes more, so make sure you won't need to step away. Phase 3. Investigation. The moment the body discovery announcement sounds, the hunt for evidence begins. Combat gets locked, hunger and energy and stamina start draining. Investigation time is limited and depends on how much of the academy is open. 7 minutes at the start of the game plus 2 minutes per unlocked floor. There are 5 in total, so 15 minutes max. Floors unlock either after a trial won by the majority or through repairs. Players can also start the trial before the timer runs out if the majority of survivors gathers by the red doors, that's the entrance to the trial elevator. Examining the body gives you the Monokuma file, which lists the victim's name, time of death, injuries and special notes. A blood pool forms under the victim. It can tell you whether the body was moved. Fingerprints are only visible and collectible with a UV flashlight. If the killer wore gloves or a disguise, their touch leaves unidentified prints on the body and surfaces. In-game they are labeled as smudged. After striking with a weapon, the killer's hands become bloodied and leave bloody prints. Everyone can see those, but collecting them as evidence still takes a UV flashlight. There is also environmental evidence such as scorched blast marks, traces of the Somnus grenade, the Molotov cocktail and the poison trap. Triggered bear traps, electroshock traps, plus empty poison vials. To dispose of evidence, the killer can use a rug, wipes blood and prints of a weapon, a mop, cleans blood pools off the floor, prints off walls and basically any surface, and other traces. Sinks, clean blood off your weapon and mop and remove the bloody at hands effect from your hands. And finally, phase 4, the trial of truth. It lasts 15 real-time minutes. Everyone gathers in one place, makes arguments about who they think the killer is, presents evidence and shares alibis. And at the very end, the vote. If the majority guesses the killer, the survivors win. If not, the killer wins, and everyone else faces execution. Every player has an energy pool. It starts at 0 and fills over time, through debate wins or through agreement from other players. Energy is spent on 4 actions. First, initiate a vote. Second, call someone into a cross-debate. Third, interrupt. Everyone sees a short animation of your character. Or fourth, show agreement. The player the camera is focused on gets a note that you agreed with them and gains energy, which is most often used to initiate the vote. You can cycle through these 4 actions with the mouse wheel, WASD, or the up and down arrow. The camera at trial follows whoever is holding the voice chat button, and everyone else is in a queue. On the right side of the screen you can select a sprite to display during the trial. Switch at any time by left clicking. You can also add sprites to favorites by pressing right mouse button. Evidence and items from your inventory can be presented at the trial. Open the inventory with I, right-click the item, present as evidence. Evidence like the Monokuma file, the blood pool, trap traces and so on gets presented through the red evidence button on the left side of the screen. Pick the evidence and hit present. Either way, it plays as an animation on everyone's screen and lands in the shared evidence list anyone can review in detail. There are two kinds of debates at the trial. Cross debates, a one-on-one duel. Everyone else stays silent but can write in chat. Messages show up for everyone as pink text, aka noise, and vote to decide the debate winner. The winner restores 100 energy. Any player with 100 energy can start cross debates. Pick the action, then pick the player you want to challenge. A debate lasts 2 minutes. The initiator can end it at any moment. The second kind, scrum debates, triggered by a tie vote. Each player gets 20 seconds, one by one, to state their theory. If the vote ties 3 times in a row, the blackened wins automatically. The game has 4 possible endings. Blackened victory. The killer wasn't exposed at the trial. They win. Everyone else loses. The waiting game. If murders and trials leave only 2 students alive, the game ends. The rules stop applying and the academy doors open automatically. Your character's story ends if you get killed during the game or the final quest, executed at the trial as a killer or by a wrong vote, or if you don't make it into an escape pod during the peaceful victory. And finally, the peaceful victory itself, which honestly isn't that peaceful. Students need to complete repair quest, the electrical panel on the first floor, the supercomputer on the second, the air purifier on the third, and most importantly, reach the escape pod room on the fourth. So to summarize, repair quests have a total of 3 stages, each with its own set of required items you need to bring. By the way, remember the 2 murders per chapter rule? Well, once the pod room opens, the rules are off. No punishment for mass kills and murders no longer trigger a trial. The reason the bloodbath happens at all is that the number of pods is limited. Exactly 55% of the survivors, rounded up and capped at 8. As they say, friendship is friendship, but there aren't enough pods for everyone. When the timer runs out, the pods unlock. If there are fewer survivors than active pods, or people didn't get in before the timer, everyone loses. If enough got in, victory. A detailed breakdown of every location, every container and all item spawns is in a separate video, link in the description. For now, a quick fly-through so you at least know where the things are. Around 130 items are scattered across 50 locations and 180 containers. 5 rarity tiers from common to legendary. They refresh every day at 5 AM in game time. Let's go through the categories. Food and drinks restore your hunger and energy. Some you grab ready-made from containers or buy from the vending machine. Some you cook on the kitchen stove. And yes, don't eat raw food or you'll get poisoned. Next is medicine. Meds, cures for negative effects and poisons. All of it's crafted in the medical lab. We already touched on weapons, but in short, melee, throwables and traps. Next, keycards. There are 4 of them, each unlocking the locations they are named after. You can find them in containers or buy them in a monoshop. The exception is the Academy Head's keycard. It opens every zone the other cards do, and it's not sold in the monoshop. Restraint items. Zip ties, handcuffs, duct tape and a bag for restraining, tying up or neutralizing. Resources for crafting traps and throwables, plus parts, mechanisms and scrap metal for repairs. These items are for repairing the peaceful victory objectives, the electrical panel, the supercomputer and the air purifier. Items with no mechanical use, at least for now. They exist for atmosphere and roleplay. And the last batch. Everything that didn't fit in the categories above. Gloves to hide your fingerprints, the UV flashlight to collect prints and evidence, batteries to recharge it, Kibo's eyes, night vision and a flashlight to see in the dark, the rack to wipe blood off weapons and hands, the camera, well, to take screenshots, the lockpick for doors and safes, the sealed service case trades for 100 monocoins at the monoshop, the screwdriver for repairs, removing handcuffs and disarming traps, and a warm jacket to reduce the freezing effect. Items and prices at the vending machine. Items and prices at the monoshop. Now, controls and mechanics. Here is the deal. Every key will show up on screen, no need to memorize anything. You'll get used to it in 5 minutes of playing, and I will only voice the less obvious stuff. Movement is standard, controls on screen. Remember one thing, running and jumping burn stamina, so don't do either without a reason. A full bar can save your life when some classmate with a katana suddenly decides to chase you. Voice chat is on X button and it has 3 ranges. X is standard, medium radius. X plus Alt, a whisper for when you don't want extra ears listening. X plus Shift, a shout across the whole area. Almost everything in this game runs through button. Hold it and the interaction wheel opens. You can hug a player, push them, pick them up or put them on your shoulders. And by the way, you can carry not just the living but the dead too. That's exactly how the killer and their accomplice move bodies around. Dorm doors can be locked and unlocked with a key, and you can also knock or ring the doorbell. Doors open the 2 ways, normally or silently. A locked door gets picked through a pin minigame, or a crowbar with no minigames there, right click and voila, the door is open. The inventory opens on I button. Every character has their own carry capacity. Overload slows your movement and combat, and with a fully stuffed inventory you can't move at all. On the left of the inventory there are 3 tabs. First, status, health, stamina, hunger, energy, temperature and active effects. Everything you need to keep an eye on, in one place. Second, identity. Here you can see your own fingerprint and shoe print. They are unique for every game session. And third, appearance. Clothing and accessory customization with 0 effect on gameplay. In the center are the equipment slots, headgear, clothing, gloves and the cloak slot. That's where the disguise goes. The shoe slot is empty for now, waiting on updates. This is also where you can view and rotate your character model. What about combat? There is a light attack, a heavy swing and an alternative attack on right click. You can throw hands too, but fists only work down to 20% health. Past that, the damage just stops going through. There is also a stealth kill mechanic. You need a weapon equipped in a slot, you don't even have to hold it. Sneak up on a player, hold F, the kill animation starts and the victim most likely won't have time to react. Works best from behind or from the side. From the front though, better not to try. The victim gets 1 second to press F and parry, and suddenly it's not them but you lying on the floor, free to be searched or finished off. Regular attacks are a different story. Swing from any angle you like, those can be parried. A detail for future detectives. Wherever the killer was looking during the strike, that's where the wound lands. At least it should. And that exact body part gets recorded in the victim's Monokuma file. You can trade items with players, search them, and even feed them. Searching has a catch. From the front it requires consent, but from behind or the side it doesn't. Though the player will hear a distinct sound. And keep in mind, during a search, someone can quietly plant evidence on you, or lift something valuable out of your pockets. So only let people you trust search you. Any food in your inventory or a container can be poisoned and then politely offered to another player as a meal. Hopefully now you understand why the vending machine is the only food and drink you can actually trust. The monopod is your character's personal device, turned on through the inventory. Check the time by holding C button and picking look at watch, and check it constantly. Time is your number one argument at the trial. T inspects a player and shows their gear, gloves, night vision, jacket, and so on. Honestly, the habit of inspecting everyone is detective fundamentals. G examines your surroundings, and F saves evidence, a body or say a trap trace. And on H button there is the action wheel with 4 options. Animations, dances, poses and gestures, emotes, your character's facial expressions, the dice roll, the result shows in chat for everyone, used for resolving roleplay situations. The higher the roll, the better the outcome. And the character description, up to 110 characters of text that others see when they hover over your character. There is also a handy mechanic called place. Open the inventory, right-click an item and pick, you guessed it, place. Then hold left-click to move the item around as a prop. Killers, by the way, use this to hide evidence after a murder. Separate topic, chat commands. This is the backbone of roleplay. You won't get far without them. Here's how it works. Y button is your character speaks out loud. /me describes their action. /it describes the surroundings. And /lock or just slash for when you need to say something out of character. The /try command is a random outcome. The server itself decides whether your action succeeds or not. And all the remaining commands: whisper, shout, an anonymous out-of-character message to all player and a private out-of-character message to a specific player. So, about crafting. There are only 3 stations, all opened with E button. And a life hack right away: pin a recipe in your inventory and a list of missing ingredients will hang on the right side of your screen, while you run around and loot. The kitchen stove, as you'd guess, is for cooking. Fried meat, vegetable salad, soup, sandwiches, coffee and stew. Cooking runs on its own, but don't wander far from the stove, don't run and don't jump. The process cancels and you start all over. The medical lab, as mentioned earlier, this is where bandages, first aid kits and antitoxins gets crafted. Everything for survival. And poisons, but we will talk about those in the weapons section. The workbench also got a mention. In short, this is where you make traps, probables, parts and mechanisms. And some recipes require a screwdriver. We already know melee weapons and attack types, so here are all the damage numbers. Pause if you want to dig into the details and we move on. There are 3 kinds of throwables. The explosive takes out everyone in its blast radius. The Molotov cocktail sets people on fire and slows them for a while. The Somnus grenade doesn't kill, it puts everyone in the gas cloud to sleep for 1.5 to 2.5 minutes, and there is no waking them during that time. What usually happens to the sleepers afterwards, I think you can guess. A bit more on poisons. Acid kills in roughly 5.5 minutes of real time. Widow's Kiss about 3. Despair is the fastest poison, just over 2, and its effect is only neutralized by the Hope Serum, which is nearly impossible to find. And the alternative methods, the sauna, the freezer, the curtain, the gate, the elevator and traps. The sauna kills by overheating, the freezer by hypothermia. Timings for both on screen. As you can see, the Academy gives you plenty of options, and the choice is always yours. A few words about the detective. The role the entire game revolves around. The killer can execute perfectly, clean up the evidence, fabricate an alibi, play innocent. But one attentive detective can cross all of that with a single sharp observation. Then again, the price of a detective's mistake matches the power. A lost trial is the ending for the whole cast. Good news is that you don't have to start with the lead role. You can be Dr. Watson. Find a detective and work as a pair. Be the second pair of eyes and the second notepad. You build the exact same skills, but the outcome of the trial doesn't rest on your shoulders. A couple of games like that and the detective role stops looking impossible. The three most important things for a detective: the UV flashlight, without it you can't see regular smudged prints or collect and identify them at all. The notepad for logging events, prints, who was where and when. And third, the watch on your monopod. The main tool for confirming or breaking alibis, tracking player routes and so on. There are 56 characters from the Danganronpa universe to choose from. Each has their own stats: speed, awareness and carry capacity. Some even come with the starting items. Examples on screen. Shinri Trial is first and foremost a roleplay game. Remember that you are playing a character with a defined personality. You speak like them, react like them, make decisions like them. Study your character through the wiki, the games, the anime or YouTube videos. Understand their motivations, their inner conflicts, and what they would and wouldn't allow themselves. Play along with people and situations the way your character would. Listen to the Japanese and English voice acting and try to land somewhere in between, or add something entirely your own. That's cool too. And here is the main thing. You don't need to instantly be, say, Nagita Komaeda with his inflamed perception of hope and unhinged love. Even by the project's official position, strict roleplay isn't required in auto games. That mod exists to get you familiar with the project. And if it hooks you, private and official games are ahead, where roleplay lives in its full intended form. Note that they're RU hosted, though the global EN community runs some private games too. So if you have any worries or doubts about roleplaying, breathe out. Being simply reasonable and roleplaying as best as you can is enough. Just improve one detail every game and you are good. Giving roleplay advice is tricky, and honestly there are people who can tell you all this better and in more interesting way. Check out the excellent character roleplay cheat sheets from Dead Duck and Ahisam and other great folks, and the YouTube videos by Sutora and Dembai. I've read and watched them myself, I highly recommend it, all links in the description. And 2 quick tips before we wrap up. First, go to shinri-trial.ru and learn the project rules like you're not just here to play, but applying to be an admin. And remember, the rules work for you only if you know them better than the person breaking them. Link in the description. Second, record every game session. OBS, Metal, Shadowplay, any screen recorder. It will come in handy for reports, settling disputes and reviewing your own mistakes. Let me answer a few frequent questions. A fuller list with detailed answers is in the FAQ section of the guidebook. How do I get into Danganronpa? In my opinion, there are 2 paths. The canon one, start with the first game and go in order. The fast one, watch season 1 of the anime, then for simplicity let's call it season 2 with Despair and future arcs. And there is a third path.
Hi, I am 11037 and I want to compose music.
Nice.
Do you want to hear it?
No,
Yeah, that probably works too. What is a cast and what is a case? The cast is a lineup of players in your current game. A case is slang for a murder, so doing a case means committing one. How many murders can one player commit? No more than 2 per chapter, even with an accomplice. How do I start playing? Shinri Trial is, as we remember, a Garry's mod game mod, so all you need is Gmod itself on Steam. If you don't already own it, it's a cheap one-time purchase and goes on a sale a lot. Now here is the catch. We games are entirely in Russian, so if you're an English speaker, your way is Shinri Trial global Discord server. Join it, head to the Future Games channel and sign up for one of the upcoming games. Just post your UID and if you've got one, your preferred character. On first launch, Gmod will download the add-ons, that part takes a while, do that and you are set. I'm in the game, what do I do now? Turn on your monopod, grab the hammer from your drawer and head out of your room. Talk to people, hit the warehouse, stock up on food, cook something in the kitchen, explore the academy, check what's needed for repairs or help whoever's already on it. But the main advice, just walk around and talk. That alone generates situations, and don't forget to watch the time and remember where you were and with whom. It will definitely be useful at the trial. And good luck, you're going to need it. Well, you're officially awesome now, and now you know more than the average Shinri Trial newbie, fully ready to queue up. Just please, no unsolvable cases and no 50-50 cases either. If this video helped, a sub and a like go a long way for the channel. Don't forget the promo code KPRESS, a bonus never hurts. Special thanks to the Rompagolic Church for the support and the reposts on their server. And to wrap up, let me quote a legend. Come play Shinri Trial. We've got gacha skins, keycard races, unsolvable cases with accomplices, 2 players offing themselves the moment the match starts, Nekamaru with an axe, something's always on fire, and mayonnaise everywhere.